What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Noodle Time, episode 133. I'm your host, Mark Segovia, alongside two of the best people that I've known, who I've gotten to talk to, get to know more in a deeper aspect. Before we got online, we were discussing Andres' ventures in Mexico and how his partner is teasing him about the current situation of our Dynamo. But I'll let the man himself go into detail about that. But guys, again, appreciate all the support and thank you for coming into the show. Andres, what's going on, my guy?
Mark, that was an amazing introduction, but very well put. No, yeah. If you guys haven't been noticing my activity on X, I've been off for like 4 or 5 days, and that's because I was in Mexico celebrating my girlfriend's birthday. And
Shout out to the girlfriend.
yeah, happy birthday, Cecilia. But but yeah, she's been kind of teasing me about the Dynamo because she doesn't follow soccer as closely as I do, but she likes to tease me like that because the Dynamo haven't won a game yet, and we'll get into the important discussion, of course. But yeah, just a lot to talk about. But yeah,
Sure.
I'm happy to be back, Mark.
For sure. You have, I think you have a little bit of an announcement on our YouTube aisle of things.
Yeah, so honestly, shout out to everyone that's been watching and listening to our episodes on YouTube. And that doesn't just go for Noodle Time, but also Dash Dispatch, Instant Ramen, and all the content we put out there, as well as Dinámico. We just hit 252 subscribers, guys, so we do appreciate all the support that we've been getting, as well as every time you share our links to the videos. And the latest Instant Ramen, which is the Blake Gillingham interview, is now the the fourth most watched video on the channel. Which, once again, guys, we do appreciate the support. We're gonna keep putting out content, especially times like these, because this is the best time to do it. So, once again, guys, we do appreciate the support, and we just gotta get things going right now.
There you go. This, you know what? This is gonna be a way where we can maybe do like a little bit of a giveaway. I got a couple of Dynamo things that I think the fans out there would like. Maybe we can give away for hitting 250 and maybe hold something for when we get to 300. But like I said, like Andres said, thank you guys. OSG, you look like you're currently celebrating Andres' girlfriend's birthday. It looks like you got like a strobe light over there or something going on in the background over there. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, pretty good, man. I'm always ready to go beyond with my dash, and if I move the flag, it's got OSG and it says Noodle Time is flashing back there in neon light. Right. So, but I'm on international duty this week, so I thought I would pop into Noodle Time and see what's cooking over here on this side of the pitch.
Well, you're always welcome to have noodles with us anytime you like, sir. So, but I appreciate the you coming through and obviously giving us your opinions and your facts that you have with you as well, man. You're a huge part to the success and the continued success of Noodle Time and Foxtrot and all that good stuff. So, obviously we love having you anytime we can. But guys, I wasn't available for last week's show due to prior commitments, but I don't think I missed much. Nothing has changed as far as the wins has come. I'm going to title this little part of the segment "Pointless in Portland." Because obviously, Portland is the first road game where we didn't even achieve a point. For those who watched the game, unfortunately I was in and out, so I couldn't really stay focused on the game as much as I would love to. I saw the Escobar goal, which was great. Obviously, I thought with that I was like, oh man, maybe something we can continue the great road form that we've been having. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. In my opinion, man, obviously there's a lot of things going on, right? they first time start for Blake Gillingham, who we spoke about earlier. Shout out to him for having the interview with us and our guy and stuff like that. But the big task for a rookie goalkeeper, an undrafted rookie goalkeeper. But he did show that he has the capabilities. Or maybe it's just the fact that we saw a little bit of athleticism from that position. But I like what I saw. Um, two of the three goals, to be honest, I don't blame him. Those goals are gonna be scored against world class keepers. You know, the unfortunate thing about it is that the scoreline was 3-1, but to be honest, this scoreline should have been even worse. It could have easily been a 6-1 game, which would have been very, very, very devastating to the point where we probably wouldn't even be having a show today.
Hey, Mark. Before we get into all those negatives and how they remember, and you were hyping up Blake real quick, and we talked about him being in the interview. Bro, I like what I've seen so far from Blake, and I'm kind of he's very agile. He's been making those saves, like some crazy saves too. The bouncing ball,
For sure.
the one that I don't even know how he made that one, where how it still wasn't even in the goal either. The one he just pulled it from behind, and I don't know. So I think I'm good. I like what he's got, and we just go give him a chance. You have Pedro Cruz, who is the dose backup, who could serve as your backup keeper. I think you could be good, and I don't know if you need to go find another keeper or you just need to go find an academy kid. I don't know. I like Blake, but Houston, of course, says they're looking for a keeper. I don't know. What are they looking for? A dose keeper? Blake's at least doing pretty good though.
This is by no means no disrespect to Blake. I think Blake for the first start did a great job. I'm talking about the whole overall situation of things with the team and obviously with the whole dynamic of what's going on with the club right now. It's an unfortunate situation, right? And I trust me, I'm not trying to pound on it and stay too negative on it because obviously, what else can I say that hasn't been said, right? But I'll go with you first, Andres, since OSG already we spoke about Blake. Just what do you? I mean, what can we do? What can the club do? What can the players do? What can the coaching staff do to show a little bit of pride on the pitch? Because it's getting to a point where it's becoming a little bit disrespectful on the pitch, and it's not enjoyable at all. There's no the first couple of the weeks, obviously the chemistry isn't there. Guys who we weren't expecting to be starters or starters, this and this and that, whatever. But we're going to match day 7 weeks, and obviously we're not one of the clubs who's playing CONCACAF champions or other things, whatever. So obviously we're on the lower end tier as far as games played. But man, when are we gonna see something? When are we gonna see a spark on this club?
I just wanted to say that it's been a very tough situation, also because Ben Olsen has been very kind of vocal about the players that he's missing and also the type of players that he needs, which falls upon not just the players that are injured, but also the types of players he could have used before the season started, which unfortunately things haven't gone well, or just the luck wasn't on his side since the season began. And I don't want to say that it's just like something that he's been in charge of, or rather his own responsibility, because of course he's trying to put out the best roster he has on hand. But and going back to the players, I feel like it comes down to the players that are still from here from last year, which is definitely a good chunk of them. And also I want to add something that I mentioned before, which has to do with the fact that we do have a ton of players that want to start, and really is really favorable for players that are either with those or players that don't get enough playing time on the field. and it's really tough to pinpoint that, especially since we're not there in training and looking at the players every day. But we're at a point, and I'm gonna say it again, we're at a point that we're gonna have to start trying new things, and it's definitely something I feel like it's something Ben Olsen would hate to hear,
For sure.
but because he's trying to put out, like I said, he's trying to put out the best roster, the best lineup he has at the moment. But we still haven't won a game. We want to get the ball rolling, or like get those results here, because like you said initially, this is the first loss on the road. Where I was thinking about they could probably just fight things out in Portland, but unfortunately, like, things got out of hand very quickly. So
yeah,
it's a tough answer. There's definitely things going on that we're definitely gonna talk about later. But as of right now, fans are just like very, like, extremely concerned and upset with like all the turn of events going on.
For sure. OSG, before I get to you, and no means do I want to make this sound like the players aren't giving their all, right? I respect the players, the professionalism of them. I see Ponce out there hustling. I see Escobar out there. I see Dorsey doing his, running his heart out. These guys, these players, they're out there trying to do whatever they can to produce and to give us a good situation, a good effort, right? A great effort. Unfortunately, the talent level isn't there. So this is why we're so down and in the negatives with everything that's going on. OSG, I'll ask you this. The key word and what Andres had mentioned in his response was changes. When do we start seeing these changes?
The changes to the projection going forward. I mean, you've got 5 players about to coming off the injured list, 2 of them being signed, 3 of them injured, about to change this entire completely starting lineup, most likely. So I think, the fans have the right to be pissed and mad right now at Pat, at Ben as well. Pat's choosing the style of players that he wants. Pat's using the scouting network to go find these players, and they're deciding to choose to go with these players that they're bringing in that the fans are disappointed in with the performance. Ponce is one that's getting a lot of heat right now with his performance and or lack of contributing performance, and for the amount of money. You signed Lingr, who we haven't even seen yet, and fans are up in a roar about him being a DP, and they don't. If he's a TAM, I'll be fine with him, but if he's a DP, we got to hold him to different standards, which is understandable. And so I think, and then Pat saying that they were surprised per se in Mikel. The European window was closed, and then a team from Brazil, pops up with an offer which can't be countered, and they're going to take it. So they were kind of surprised. They thought they were in the wind once the European window closed, and they weren't expecting. They were going through the season as if it was going to be Mikel Stigner. So a lot of decisions and a lot of hope and a lot of anticipation that went the wrong way, and it's a lot of bad luck, and it's showing right now, and there's a lot of heat and a lot of pressure from the fans starting to build up.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Mikael thing, I mean, obviously, but that's the thing. I can't even give him the benefit of the doubt of that, right? Because you have to, if we're really trying to be a club where we value purchasing, diamonds in the rough, shining them up, and then transferring them out, then that's the type of club that we're going to be, and that's the type of identity that we want to identify with. We have to understand that players are going to might become available to clubs around the world at any time, given whatever the case may be, right? And we have to be prepared for that, And the Mikael case, hey, look, I mean, obviously Palmeiras, huge opportunity for him, all that good stuff, whatever, this and that. It happened, I think, what was it, 2 days before the season started? Yeah, that's where you go and you talk to a player and a player's agent, and you're like, hey, guys, look, I understand the move. I understand the money that's coming in for him, and it's obviously a big big investment because obviously for what we brought him in to what we're getting for him, and then plus on top of that the sell on. It's a great move, right? But do we make this move and sacrifice the first third of our season because we're not going to have our starting defense because we're already lacking the fact that we lost our DP player in Hector Herrera, we lost a DP caliber player in Coco. Sebastian Ferreira isn't with us anymore, and so on and so on. Do we make this decision right now and sell them right now and sacrifice a third of our season, or do we keep them and say, hey, look, the summer window opens up in a couple of months. If hopefully he doesn't get injured, he's available, and by that then it gives you more time to prepare for that departure, instead of scrambling around, what's going to happen. We're going to start a rookie and Feme, who has no experience with the first team, we have Bartlow, who's been with us, but I mean, he's being put in situationally because unfortunately Eric got injured to start the season. I mean, things like this. I mean, we have to anticipate, and it doesn't help the fact that obviously that we're so undermanned by the lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Aggression in the offseason. There was no. It seemed like there was no urgency, right? And replacing these players that we lost. But with that being said, look, we've talked about the offseason already, right? Let's talk about what's going on currently. Obviously, Gellingham, his first start, I think we're all in agreement. We kind of like the things that we saw from him, his athleticism, his ability. He made a numerous amount of great saves. Obviously, letting 3 goals go in, that's not something that you want, but it's not really necessarily his fault. Let's talk about another debut, a debut that a lot of people have been waiting for, because this young man was showing off for his youth national team and the summertime, and he was balling, and people were excited to see this man come in. Andy Bartioja, I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Bartioja, yeah.
Bartioja, a youth Colombian, kind of the same ilk as Nelson Quiones, stuff like that, but comes in 81st minute, gets a good 10, 11 minutes of run time. OSG, your thoughts on his debut?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he got to get out there. Why couldn't Exxon do it? It's the first thing immediately comes to mind. Why not give that man a chance? You give Andy a chance. Maybe Andy's doing something different that we don't know about on the practice field. You pick Ben's brain. I don't know. That man is just he's in his own ways. But Exxon just might not have been a coach's player, and Andy is, and maybe Andy's trying harder. But man, I'm glad he got his minutes and a good shot for him. I hope he continues to get minutes, and maybe something happens out there on the wing and he can stretch the field for us, since we have nobody that can do it, or we have nobody that we're willing to use to do. But so Andy can be a dangerous player. Exxon has more speed. Andy will take defenders on. He's got good vision. So, but he is young. He is, a smaller type. So just give him the minutes and see what he can do. And if he keeps doing okay, then keep throwing him out there. Would still like to see Exxon get out there and his speed as well. You know what he can do, man. That's crazy. But
do you think maybe the club feels that Andy's the little bit more polished player, at least right now? That's why he's getting the minutes ahead of Exxon.
I mean, he could be. He's Exxon's Honduras, Andy's Colombia U20. Maybe that's what it is. And Andy's been playing a lot of games with Colombia lately, over the past year or two as well. Exxon's under a first team contract. Andy's contract ends in 2 months, so you got to hurry up or his loan ends in 2 months, unless I miss his freaking contract being signed. But he's up in 2 months, so you got to use him. You got to try him. You got to decide if you're going to keep this man, and you think you have a lot of potential here. Well, the only way to do it is to use him. So Ben may be forced to play Andy as well at the same time right now.
Andres, your thoughts on Andy's DB?
Andy Batioja, like as soon as he came in last year, this is a player that I was so looking forward to get into the first team and get some minutes, because the one thing that stood out for me is the fact that he's not afraid to take defenders 1v1, like OSG just said. Last time, like a couple of weeks ago, like he literally, one of the goals that he scored was kind of like that. Like he just beats a defender and just put it in the back of the net that easily. That's such a foreign concept, beating a defender as a winger. But but like I feel like if your name is not Diego Gonzalez, I feel like he's like the next player that was gonna get the call to get to the first team, like at least to get minutes in MLS, because there's a type of winger that we need right now, and he definitely like speaks confidence. So I do look forward to see his development go on over time. Of course, like you mentioned, like he's getting national team minutes with Colombia on the youth side at least. So that's pretty significant, especially in CONMEBOL terms. So I do look forward to it, even though it was just like 10 minutes that he played. Like I liked what I saw.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, obviously nothing really crazy. Obviously good to see him get a little bit of time out there to stretch his legs and see what he can, what kind of capabilities he has. Obviously, you can see that the speed is there, and then the willingness to go 1v1 is there. Obviously, so it's a great thing to have that type of player. Maybe he gets more run in the next game against LAFC. Who knows? We'll see. But speaking of that, man, let's get past that Portland game, man. I couldn't help but to notice both of you guys keep mentioning Ben Olsen, and obviously whether or not he's going to make changes or not, or what's the deal with him and all this other stuff. Speaking of coaches, one of the longest tenured coaches in MLS history, Peter Vermes, has been let go by Sporting Kansas City. Now, obviously, we're a Dynamo podcast. So why am I bringing up Peter Vermes? Sporting Kansas City. What's going on here? Peter Vermes, he literally brought that franchise, to the what they're known for. Obviously winning an MLS Cup. I think he won a cup, several U.S. Open Cups, as well with them and all that good stuff. But obviously, he is the first coach to be sacked this MLS season. So obviously we hear the fans, the fan base and all that stuff. And, obviously a lot of people are blaming the coaching staff and Ben and Olsen, all this stuff and what's going on. Is it fair to even think or to even acknowledge the fact that maybe Ben Olsen might have his seat warming up a little bit, or it might be a little bit hot? Is it fair? Do you think, Andres, is it fair? Could you see Ben Olsen being let go during the season?
In my opinion, it will be very unfair, because the offseason that we had and like how slow it was, I feel like it's a big reason why we are in the position that we are, because we did let go of a ton of players and we didn't really cover the gaps that were left on the field. So I feel like just letting him go like that, when a lot of that responsibility goes to Pat and Asher with what the way the offseason was executed, I feel like it will be just a disservice and really just would throw everything that was done for the past 2 years like in the trash can. So I feel like it's definitely a risky move right now, and yeah, it will be really unfair for me.
OSG, I'll ask you the same question, man. Do you think, obviously you're connected to the fans, you're out there, throwing up the H's to our YouTube crowd that's following us at the moment. What are your thoughts, or what are the people saying on YouTube? Hey, do you think it's fair to think that Ben Olsen deserves to be let go if the campaign continues to tread downward the way it is going in its current moment?
Yeah, well, shout out to the people in the chat watching right now as we are live. David from DFTV, Rashawn's popped in there as well. So Rashawn's all over the place. I don't know how that man does it, and he follows anybody and everybody, and he's there. And he gave a shout out as soon as he popped into the room to you, Mark. Right? So first off, is it fair to put Ben on the hot seat? Yes. Now, what are the fans doing? They're all going to tell you Pat right now. It's the biggest one that should be in the biggest hot seat. Now, granted, I know all three of them, Pat, Asher, Ben, all three of them were working in the group together. Pat is going out and making these signings. Technically, Ben is in the room at the same time saying, yes, dude, bring me Ezekiel Ponce. Yes, bring me Lingr. So he's agreeing on it. So, but at the same time, Ben has the players that he has right now. Yeah, whatever it is, but he cannot find a way to attack. He's supposed to be a professional coach. It's been a struggle. I go back to see his DC years to see if this was a similar occurrence, and it kind of felt like it might have been where they just had trouble scoring, but they were a decent defensive team. Now they're just kind of like crap, and it sucks. But I think right now what the fans are telling you, if you go and you ask or you put a vote out there or you're in the Discord paying attention, they're gonna tell you it's Pat out right now, and they want Pat out right now. Now, am I in the stadium and hearing the same thing? No. Am I on Facebook in those group chats hearing the same thing? I'm not in those group chats, so I can't say. But where I am at right now, and just kind of around, it's Pat's being questioned for the moves that he made, not making the expectations for moves to be made to keep this team on its feet and still make the moves coherently to build this team in the future and still be a competitive team to start this season. Granted, with that 10-game schedule to start off the season, which is just friggin' ridiculous. But, they say it is on. It is on Pat. Ben is the one who needs to fix the situation right now on the pitch and can't find a way to attack and refuses to change his style, right? Refuses to change the way that we play. And maybe that's something that just needs to be done for the time being. Change the way we play just to fix it until the ambulance starts bringing these players back. Man, it's tough. I don't know. So could Ben be in the hot seat right now? I don't think it's fair to be in the hot seat. I think it's fair that he's brought up and put in the hot seat. Yes, two different things. Now he gets these 5 players back: Anali, Quinones, Lingr, Ortiz. Who else? The 5th one I'm missing. Holmes. And then you put all these starters back on the bench, and you actually have some superb depth. And then you just kind of fail at the end of the season, then yes, I think Ben could be put in that hot seat respectfully. And then, of course, Pat's going to be a big question, even though he was just given an extension this past winter. So it's tough. What's Ted going to think? It's when we get the media get an opportunity to talk to Ted, we just kind of ask him these questions and see if his attitude is changing from the last time that we talked to him in his media days. And you can tell from Ted sometimes. So that's me right now, how I guess. I don't know. It's Ben can be talked about, but doesn't need to be there yet. Pat, yeah. Asher is just so tough. The man works his butt off, and he's so likable. But, Pat, sometimes his answers just lead you off into the void.
You know what I've learned the last couple of years? I've done podcasts and all these things, I've learned that the negative minority is always the loudest. Yep. So that's why we always hear the hey, Pat out, Ben out, or whoever, and even during the back in the days when the Matt Jordan era, the Matt Jordan out and those stuff. Obviously, that minority became a majority. That's why it happened the way it happened. But look. To answer my own question, no. Obviously, do I think Olsen deserves to be sacked? No, it's ridiculous. I mean, look, he's with the team and the lack of talent that's available on this team. You can put Ancelotti, you can put Guardiola on here, and we probably get the same results. Who knows? But the thing is, like, do I agree there has to be accountability for the situation we're in? Yes, I do agree with that. There has to be some sort of accountability. Obviously you gotta coach up what you currently have. And what we saw in Portland was nothing. It looked like a bunch of players just running around and letting Portland take advantage of them and being able to shoot at will. And that's not what I want to see, especially against a LAFC team that's coming home on a high. Just winning on the Champions Cup against Miami in the first and on the home leg, right? But I mean, do I agree with him being on the hot seat? No, obviously I don't. I think he's earned a grace period because obviously under the Ben Olsen era, I mean, obviously it's been a winning era as far as Dynamo football goes. and obviously lifting the U.S. Open Cup, Western Conference Final, back-to-back playoff appearances, and things of that nature. He does deserve a grace period, as does Pat and Asher, obviously because all three are practically tied to the hip, with each other. But like I said, the accountability where it deserves to be held here is the fact that we are at this current time winless, and we're going into our 7th week of the MLS season, and that's just unacceptable. Look, I understand there's other teams that are winless currently as well. And obviously the defending MLS champions, LA Galaxy, are winless as well, but their issues are injury problems to their big time players. Whereas we don't have our big time players. We don't have this and that, but help is on the way. So or at least we hope so. These visa issues, these working visa issues, sometimes can be an issue, and we get all excited because hey, we get the headline: Lingr signed, Pablo Ortiz loaned it to the Houston Dynamo, ready to come shore up the defense, ready to come connect with Ponce for goals and DP10 and all this great stuff. But then all that commotion happens, and we don't get to see the player for like another month because of green card issues or visa issues or whatever issues might be happening outside of the what the Dynamo can take care of, right? But with that being said, help is eventually on the way, I guess. Eventually. But hopefully soon enough, to the point where we don't dig ourselves such a big hole where this season becomes an absolute disaster. But like I mentioned, we have our quote unquote DP10 signed and Ondrej Lingr. We have our defender who is supposed to come in and technically replace Mikael and Pablo Ortiz, who has played alongside Shevchenko before, and I forget the club's name, and it starts with an M. I can't remember the club's name. Guys, if you can help me, let me know.
Mitchell.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So he has experience playing alongside Eric, so that's a good thing too, right? But by the time they get here, guys, do you think they'll get here in time? And obviously, Holmes as well, coming off the injury, is another player that we're talking about. Will these players be available to us in time, to the point where we can hopefully salvage the season and maybe make a run towards the lower seeds of the playoffs in the Western Conference, or will it be too late? OSG, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Well, I'll be quick and brief because I know Andres is really piping right here. But Holmes is supposedly 2 to 3 weeks. He's out running on the practice field, so whatever. That's what Pat said. 2 to 3 weeks. When is he integrated into the team and playing actual games minutes? 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know. So 2 to 3 weeks. Supposedly, Quinones is 4 weeks away, so he's close. He's ready. Nolly is 7 months into his 9 months, so he is 2 months away. So it sounds like we're going to get Q back before Nolly. Who's the other? Lingr. He's here, just waiting for the paperwork to pop through. So Ben thinks it'll be a few weeks for him to get integrated with the team. And then there's Ortiz. Ortiz still needs to get here, and then it'll be a few weeks to get him integrated with the team. So 3 weeks from now, you could see 3 players possibly pop up onto the lineup or onto the bench that you may not be ready for. And then a couple weeks later, you see another one. And then another month later, you see another one. And then by then, it's going to be the summer window will open back up. And then we'll see what the heck, because the fans will be begging for something then. And we'll see what the heck happens. But, real quick, before I pop it off to Andres, so you can think about this, Mark. But, as you see the comments going off over there, they're like Z signings in Holmes and Lingr. I would assume they're talking about both, those being the last 2, but I can kind of agree with Lingr, but I hand it back to you.
But you didn't answer my question before Andres goes on.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think the season will be salvaged?
Oh, it all relies on what we're doing right now, and we've got to manage to get some points. I think these players coming in, everything can make this team competitive again, and make this team have more depth, and be able to be more competitive and win games. And then that stupid mistake's not going to be the game killer and all that good stuff. Just so it more relies on now. We got to find something now. I think there's enough to salvage the season, but can we get it now? And to where we're not climbing up the hill. But granted, nine get in. So we make that play in game at point. It doesn't take that many points. It's 40 something, but we're struggling, like you said, 6 games in, and you have 2 friggin' points. So average of laws right there says you're sucking. You're not going to make it, and you're going to be fighting for that golden spoon.
Wooden spoon.
Yeah, we're gonna golden it if we get it again.
Get it, go play it. Andres, same question, buddy.
Yeah, always you broke it down very well, and Mark, you said it properly, and I feel like it could be the motto of the season. Help us on the way eventually. I feel like fits his team very well right now because
New hashtag.
like we have all these players coming in like with different issues on top of Enali and Quinones still like TBD. and just to answer the question, it really depends on how fast they can hit the ground running, because we have to assume that the players have to be acclimated into the team, and we're all just waiting for them to be the difference. And Ondrej Lingr, of course, being the DP, he's going to have the most eyes on him, or like at least the most pressure out of the fans, because fans were expecting like this game changer that would step in and put goals in the back of the net for Houston. And for the transfer fee, and you could say the profile type of this player, that granted he could be the type of player that we need based on the positions that he played already. Everyone was kind of expecting like a bigger player, or rather a player that has a much better track record, like in Europe or somewhere else. So for Ondrej Lingr, it's gonna depend on like, hey man, can you score goals or set up the plays to like set up a Ponce, because like Ponce is not scoring anything right now, and we are not scoring anything right now. Not to leave the blame on Ponce, but like everyone offensively. And Pablo Ortiz, like kind of same goes to him, but defensively speaking, because hey, you gotta be our next Mikael or better. So here you go. So they're putting these like difficult positions. And like I said before, it's more like they could hit the ground running, which is great, but we're leaving a lot of faith into these players, and also the players coming back from injuries. Not to mention Dwayne Holmes, like he's coming back from like a broken leg, which could be pretty tough from the get go. So we're putting a lot of faith in these players, and I feel like this is gonna make or break the season.
It's funny. These unfortunate events are happening, right? And obviously, we're signing these players, but obviously under difficult circumstances with different issues that come along with said player, right? And it doesn't help that we keep seeing goals being scored by Sebastián Ferreira for Rosario Central, in Argentina either. It doesn't help when we see those kind of clips, right? But let's talk a little bit about Lingr. Obviously he's coming in as our quote unquote DP10, and look, people.
Hey Mark,
look,
real quick
ahead.
before you jump that subject. Rashawn reminds us, because he always does this every season. He follows the points. We need 42 points. Then it's 40 points left with 28 games remaining in the season, which is just less than 1.5 points per game that we need. I think someone did the math earlier. 1.5 is just there's that high rim where it's just going to be a struggle the rest of the season. So that number's kind of high. So just to put a couple numbers out there for y'all nerds and fact checks, and Rashawn is right. 42 points is what you're going for.
Thank you, Rashawn.
Make 9th place.
Thank you, Rashawn, for the mathematics. But going back to DP10, look, I'm not in the office. I'm not in the front office with Pat or Asher. They're making decisions with Ben and the coaching staff. this is all assumption from my part end, right? Obviously, for those who don't understand the DP rule, a player becomes a DP one of two ways: their salary wages, or their transfer fee, or a combination of both, right? And the thing is, because of the transfer fee that we paid for Lingr, he is technically a DP. Okay. Now I don't know his salary, what salary they're gonna pay him. I don't know what they came down to or whatever this and that can also make him a reason to be a DP. But as of right now, with the information that we know, he's a DP solely because of the transfer fee and all that good stuff. So what does that mean? Is he going to be our true DP10 for the whole year? Possibly, depending on what's going on. Now, obviously, OSG mentioned in what he was talking about, when he was answering my question, that Andres, that people were expecting somebody of a bigger caliber, of a bigger name, maybe with more experience in European football or just more experience overall. I did too, but unfortunately, at this time period, all the big markets are closed, for the most part, and you're going to only be able to get players from the smaller European leagues and obviously leagues around this hemisphere. But, so obviously those big names that we hope and wish for, those Griezmanns or Dybala or Isco or whoever your mind can wrap around, hopefully being a Houston Dynamo DP in the future, wasn't going to happen during this transfer window. So with that being said, Lingr, let's talk about him. He fits the profile. He's an attacking mid who can take the ball and create and hopefully score goals and assist and help Ponce up there. And hopefully him and Ponce can connect to score a lot of goals. Obviously, Ponce is the one here that we need to get going because he's the one who we actually really invested money in to really take us above and beyond, because the fact of the matter was that we invested similar amount of money, maybe just a little bit with Sebastian Ferreira, but obviously he didn't fit the mold that Ben Olsen wanted. So, we moved on from him and moved on to Ponce. So what does that mean? Lingr is basically been given the keys to the club. He is going to be able to determine whether or not the Dynamo keep him under that DP stature of his that he is under currently. If he comes in and hits the ground running and he's Luciano Acosta or Maxi Morales or whoever, whatever attacking midfielder you can think of around the league that's actually successful, then great. Obviously, nobody's going to have anything bad to say. Obviously, whether he was a big name or not, it's not going to matter. He is contributing and he's excelling for the Dynamo and doing what he's been asked to do and going above and beyond, right? So with that being said, will he earn the DP status or whatever? Does that mean Pat and Asher stop looking for an actual DP type player, or do they focus that DP type on another position, maybe a winger or something else, right? Now that gives them a little bit more flexibility as far as looking elsewhere in the club, where now there might be another need somewhere else and not an attacking, centralized section of the offense. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of those questions are going to be answered once Lingr gets on the pitch, and obviously once we start seeing him contribute, and once we start seeing how he fits in with Ben Olsen's scheme and how him and Ponce can click and get that chemistry going. Am I disappointed? Obviously, I am. Obviously, look, I mentioned it 2 shows ago. They knew they were letting go of Hector Herrera. They knew they were going to sell Coco. The Mikael thing, whether it was last minute or whatever, they knew was a possibility. They didn't have the urgency, or maybe they just didn't have the funds to sign the type of player that we thought was going to replace Ache. Whatever the case may be, it happened. This is what we're in right now. We're in complete and utter disaster mode right now, unfortunately. But there's a little ray of sunlight coming out. Hopefully, eventually, like we mentioned earlier. I'm hoping for the best because we have to. We have to be optimistic about Lingr and these signings because I know people go and they're looking at his stats right now with Salvia Puig, and he's only scored 1 goal and I don't know how many matches, and he only has like 1 assist or whatever. And his time at Feyenoord was like a little 6-month loan, and whatever people are saying about him, it is what it is, right? But what he's done in the past doesn't affect what he does for us now. If he clicks and if he grabs the bull by the horns and gets going, I don't care what he's done in the past. I care what he does today and moving forward wearing Dynamo orange and purple. Okay, that's my concern. Now, if he comes here and he shits the bed, excuse my language, then we have to go back to talking about that accountability that was mentioning before, and who are we holding accountable for this decision? Because yes, we can buy him down and we can go look for a true DP in the summer, but now we're just having a whole Hector Herrera thing happen all over again. Because when Hector came in, he played his 10 games and he absolutely sucked his first 10 games as a Dynamo player, And it's not his fault. He came in late, whatever, this and that. But the exact same thing is going to happen if we decide to go sign a DP player this summer. They're only going to have a handful of games to get acclimated to the league, to a new team, to a new coach, to a new formation, to new players, to new environment, new everything, new excitement. And by that time, like Eric mentioned, like Ruslan mentioned, we need an average of 1.5 points per game right now to even sniff hitting the 40-point mark. Who knows if that's even going to be enough to fight for a playoff spot? You never know. The season's wacky, right? It might be, it might not be, but by that time, if we're still looking for a savior in the summer transfer window, we might as well throw the season in the trash. I'm sorry, And if you guys disagree with me, please let me know. Let me know. Like I'm here trying to be optimistic about the Lingr signing, about the Ortiz signing, and hopefully that that those guys come in and they can get acclimated with the quickness, and we can get the ball rolling, and we roll off like a nice 4 or 5 game winning streak, and bam, everything was like, oh shit, you know what? The beginning of the season was a complete disaster, but right now we're going through it and we're winning games and we're looking like the team that we were the last 2 years. Whatever. Because this guy right here, frown. He's been frowning. I mean, but look, this is the last thing I'll say about this. I'm hoping he hits the ground running. That's all I'm hoping for. What he did in Slavia, what he did in Feyenoord, what he did for the Czech Republic doesn't matter to me. It only matters what happens when he puts that Dynamo orange and Dynamo purple on, and hopefully he contributes ASAP. Now, with that being said,
this was a panic signing. Marcus is what I'm going to get out of this. This was a panic signing. Hurry up. Ortiz is a loan, so it benefits us. Panic signing again. Just get somebody in for the depth because we're hurt so bad. So I don't know what to do about those. But he's DP front loaded. His contract is front loaded on his transfer fee. So your transfer fee can be extended over throughout the allotment of your contract, which means he can be bought down. Most likely will be bought down after the season was over and not during the season, but I believe it is possible. But how much TAM do we really have out there, or what are we using our TAM for, all that good stuff? So is he the creative type? I don't think so. Is he a goal-scoring type? I don't think so. What is he going to fit in and do? I mean, I know he puts himself in places to take advantage. Is he going to work with this team currently? Yeah, probably not. I don't know. It's going to take all these new players to come in and gel, and the defense to get healthy and to fix it for him to make an impact and to make a definite impact. I'm with you though. I'm the optimistic guy. There's not a lot of reason to be optimistic, but I'm hoping that he comes in and gets an assist or two right off the bat and just kind of, or just opens up the game a little bit. That's what we need the game to open up a little bit. Obviously, we are not using the width on the left side. Liu is just kind of finally recognized as being worthless, so he's not getting to play that much anymore. But we don't have anything over there, so Andy Betios is going to have to get some more time to stretch that field out there because Seba can't do it, Bossy can't do it. And we have injured players not here yet. So what are we going to do? We got to take advantage of beating LA Galaxy when we go to LA in 2 weeks while they're still down and kick them while they're down. I mean, we're down as well, but
we'll see.
I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what he can do to help this team. Is he going to be that playmaker? I'm not confident in that. I'm yet to be seen as well.
Well, let's see this guy. Well, I mean, obviously we can talk about that all show long and stuff like that, but we do have a match coming up this weekend against defending US Open Cup champions LAFC. They currently yesterday played against Inter Miami in the Champions Cup on the first leg. They won 1-0. Ordonez from El Salvador scored the lone goal to put them ahead. 1-0 aggregate over Inter Miami. They will be coming this Saturday. Guys, obviously LAFC, we know what they've done since they come to the league. MLS Cup champions, supporter shields, big players, huge names, all the glitz and glamour of Los Angeles and all that great stuff, right? Well, do you think there's a possibility of them looking forward ahead past us? Because they got the second leg next Tuesday against Inter Miami and Miami to advance to hopefully the semifinals of the Champions Cup. Is it a possibility we can take advantage of it and maybe finally on our fourth, or maybe this is our fifth try, I'm not sure, our fifth try, finally get a home point or so? Do you think this weekend will we finally achieve a point at home? Andres?
I hope so. Because they could just definitely give priority to the second leg in Conca Champions, because it's the same thing that Inter Miami did, and they just absolutely cover stumped us badly. And
now,
it could definitely be a different. It's a different team, of course, and things can definitely change if there's a new game plan set ahead of them. But I don't know what to expect, honestly.
An interesting note. Let me mention this before you continue your answer, Andres. Oliver Giroud did not play a single minute of that game. Their DP winger Sindres Under, who, if you guys are not familiar with him, former Leicester City, former Roma, former Fenerbahce player, Turkish international, great speed, great player. Who's come in and he's already made dividends on. I feel, if I'm not mistaken, on the last game against San Diego, he helped score and they didn't win that game, but he scored. Came in on his first game and scored. So he's already locked and loaded because he started the Champions Cup game against Miami. So do I see a full turnover in the LAFC game? LAFC roster for this game against Dynamo? I do. But do I think that includes Giroud as a starting nine? I do think so. Because Giroud, he played nothing. He's a complete coach to not play.
Did he play anything in the MLS game? No.
He wasn't. He didn't play anything. He was on the bench.
He's not a part of it.
So this is the thing. Baronga, who we know is a monster. This guy's a beast for LAFC. Obviously, he scores 20 plus goals year in, year out for LAFC. Big contributor to LAFC success as of recently. We might not see him because obviously, like I said, LAFC has bigger fish to fry with Inter Miami coming up. So we're hoping, but the type of club that LAFC is, they have big ambitions, Obviously, they want to win Champions Cup and keep progressing in that, but they also are a team capable of doing both, playing well in the league and playing well in an international competition, because guess what they have? They have depth. They have professional. They have talented players on and off of the bench. So even if we see LAFC's B team, I still believe it's going to be a struggle for the Dynamo. OSG. Andres, I'm sorry. Did you finish answering the question? You said I hope so as far as the points, right? Anything else you want to include before I go to OSG?
I just want to see a strong performance. That's all I can say right now, because every single time I say something with the results, like at home, it's just like they go to opposite day, and it's been like every single time I just watch them at home this year, it's just like personal mistakes, and they get caught flat-footed. Defensively, offensively, we're just crossing the ball in to see what happens. We got a goal in, cool. Then they score 4 goals, not great. So it's like it could easily happen here again against LAFC. Like you said, they have the depth here. The one thing I just hope for is it's a strong defensive performance, because I feel like this is going to be the key of the game if they want to get hopefully a win.
Let's hope for a point first. Let's hope for a point.
Yeah.
OSG, do we finally get a point at home?
Hoping for a point. I think we can manage a point. I think we can find a point. These guys are used to playing against LAFC, so they know LAFC. And we've played LAFC in these back-to-back situations before where they've had games in between. So it's going to be nice that yes, they have to travel to Miami after us. They travel here. So I wish Giuseppe with G Money. We're going to see a little bit of a different roster with the bench players most likely getting the start. You might see some main starters on the bench and saved and used if needed, or just maybe saved and not used at all. I don't think you're going to see Thoreau. They're not even utilizing him. They're not even putting him on the bench in his regular games. So maybe he's been hurt. I don't know about that, but who cares if he does play it? I guess it would be nice just to see him play. It'd be slow, and that'll give Eric some time to rest back there. So no, just kidding. But I think we can manage a point. I hope it's not the 0-0 point. Maybe it's a 1-1 point. Hopefully it's a 2-2 point. At least we scored a couple goals. But LAFC is no joke. We're going to be a struggle. There's not a lot of, I guess I was going to say there's not a lot of hope, but sorry, Andrea started off with, I hope so, and G Money backed him up with that's what he was going to say as well. So, dude, yes.
Give me your prediction.
I hope so. Prediction, jeez Christ. We go down 2-1. We do not find that home point right now. The optimistic soccer guy doesn't believe enough right now.
That's fair.
Andres, soccer guy.
Yeah. The what soccer guy?
The Ondrej soccer guy. Ondrej Lingr soccer guy.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
Andres, what's your prediction, my guy?
Help is coming.
Eventually.
Keyword here, eventually.
Eventually.
Andres, what's your prediction for Saturday's night score?
I feel it's going to be a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw.
I'm being very optimistic right now.
Look, I'm excited about the 2 goals that you think they're going to score.
They're going to be crosses, man. So watch out.
Hey, oh man, look, as long as we're good somewhere, as far as if we're dominating on set pieces, scoring from there, then screw it. Let's go. But I would love just to see a nice, crisp, open play goal. That's all I want to see. To be honest, obviously, do I want a point? Yes. So I wish to get a point at home, of course. But I love a win. Hell yeah. But 3-1 LAFC.
G Money says 2-1. Brett says 0-0. But Rashawn asked you who's going to tap in. Well, but you said 3-0, so we're not even going to score, right?
No, I said 3-1. I said 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah,
who's going to tap in?
It'll be a set piece, and I think Ponce gets the head on the ball, and he'll score his second goal of the year.
So McGlenn takes an actual corner kick that lands in the box or inside the box.
No, this is gonna be a free kick. It won't be a corner kick.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, before we get to the end of the show, we're obviously coming to the 1 hour mark, and we try to keep these shows, about an hour or so. I gotta ask my question. You know it's coming. We all know it's coming. So I mean, give me your answers as quickly as possible if you want to. Are the Dynamo the worst team in the MLS currently?
Go
OSG.
ahead.
The floor is yours.
You want me to go first? The
Go
answer is
ahead. The
still
floor
no.
is yours.
Right? The answer is still no right now. Montreal is same record as us. Toronto has the same record as us. Granted, Montreal has played every single game on the road still, and they still have another game on the road this weekend as well. They already fired their freaking coach, so they said goodbye, good riddance right there. So right there, I mean, that's probably the worst team in the league, but you also have SKC, who also just finally fired Peter Burmese.
End
So
of
I
an
think
era. End of an era.
end of an era where they're stubborn, and now they're gonna finally. There's no cigar smoke in the lobby anymore. They're gonna change things around there, and SKC might become somebody decent again. So sorry about that reference right there. That was a little old, but. So no, I don't think we're the worst team. I think we're pretty damn close. But there's a couple teams that are just obviously worse than us right now.
Andres, are we the worst team in MLS currently?
No, but we're getting pretty close. And OSG said all the evidence that you need. And I did want to get to Montreal though because like they don't know what they want. I think they had like 10 head coaches like in the last decade or something like that.
Yeah.
Like some insane number. But yeah, like they're having major issues, and I feel like they're just like very close to being like the worst, probably in between Toronto or SKC. But we are getting very close.
It's funny the Montreal situation. It's a funny situation because not too long ago they were an up and coming team. And they were really exciting to watch. I think even there was a season when they had Kyoto, and Kyoto had scored like 15 goals for them. Where we're like, damn, did we make a huge mistake here or what? What's going on? So that's crazy. Toronto is crazy because they're willing to spin and they have big name players on their squad, and yet they're shit. LA Galaxy, obviously, I mentioned earlier their injuries and stuff like that. I do believe they'll make the necessary changes to get back up where they need to be at. And SKC, hey, Peter Williams, it was good to know you, but don't let how's the saying go? Don't let the good Lord split you with a whatever blah 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 hit you or whatever that
Don't
saying
let the
is.
door hit you on the way out.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever it is, So
Close enough.
good riddance to that. Good riddance to that guy. But man, yeah, I guess I'll be alongside with you. Not do I think they're the worst team in MLS currently? No, maybe, but it's getting pretty damn close. So maybe, man, we'll see. We'll see what happens this Saturday against LAFC and what's going on with that, guys.
Hey, Mark,
maybe
we need an assistant coach. Maybe we need another assistant coach on the bench, and Peter Reese wants to come over. Can he get Ponce to Punky try and tap it in?
That get that agent the spy the
Right.
Nagamera treatment.
I feel like
guys,
him and Josh Walfer is gonna fight each other in the locker room.
for sure,
We have
guys.
a bunch of assistant coaches on the team.
There you go, guys. Thank you so much again for showing up for us, and shout out to Rusan, Giuseppe, everybody on the YouTube hanging out with OSG. All those guys. Andres, let the guys know where they can see us and get a hold of us.
Man, all season long, regardless of how it goes, if we go like 0-34, we're gonna be covering all three teams no matter what. So this week it's just Dynamo, Dash, and Dos are on bye, but as always, we do cover them every step of the way. So on X, formerly known as Twitter, we're at Dynamic Foxtrot, also at Noodle Tiempo, and also we do have the same Dynamic Foxtrot handle on Instagram and Blue Sky, just to keep up with our updates all season long in those handles. Also, podcasts, wherever you're watching or listening, just search a Foxtrot TV or Noodle Time. You're going to see us there. on your favorite podcast platform, on YouTube, and also goals.tv/@DynamicFoxtrot. It's a good platform to check out other soccer content creators like us around the space. We're independent like we are, like they are. So I look forward to that all season long. And yeah, man, it's still a few months ahead, like probably 6 or 7 months. We'll see how it goes.
Eventually.
Giuseppe said he's not ready to hear the word regardless of being 0-34, we'll still be here. You don't want to hear the regardless part. Hopefully we're not going to be 0-34 or 0-32-2 since we have 2 draws already.
Yeah.
There's hope.
Guys, before I leave, speaking of Dash, shout out Kiki Van Zenten.
Oh my God!
Finally,
don't put Kiki Van Zanten.
You know,
man.
Shout out Rasta, shout out Jamaica, love you.
Do I need to invite you onto the Dash Dispatch for a few minutes just to talk Kiki Van Zanten?
Kiki, do you love me? Are you right? Anyways, guys, H is up. Like always, guys, whether we're up or down, H-Town, hold it down. Dynamo, let's go, guys.